Hello and welcome to Simply Save, Moneycontrol's weekly personal finance podcast where we discuss all things money. On August 1st, some diligent taxpayers who tried to file their income tax returns were in for a shock. The new e-filing portal, they realized, was demanding a penalty for late filing. This despite the income tax department having extended the due date from July 31st to September 30th. Though such taxpayers were actually attempting to file their returns well before the deadline, the new portal demanded late filing fees due to presumably technical malfunction. Now, this is not the first time that taxpayers have encountered such challenges while completing their compliance processes this assessment year. The Finance Ministry and Income Tax Department on their part have assured taxpayers that the glitches in the new website will be resolved soon. But what should tax return filers do in the meanwhile in light of such glitches? To understand the approach that you should adopt, we have with us today Chartered Accountant Karan Batra, founder of tax consultancy firm Chartered Club.
So Karan, the new income tax portal was actually supposed to make taxpayers' lives easier by making online return filing processes simpler. But so far, ever since its launch, it's been in the news for all the wrong reasons. Could you just take us through the glitches that individual taxpayers have encountered this year so far in this assessment year?
Sure. See, the concept or the idea of a new income tax portal was good, and it was supposed to be launched on the 7th of June. So the portal was down for 7-8 days that it was being revamped and was officially supposed to be launched on the 7th of June. But sadly, it was not launched on the 7th of June. For the first 1 month, in fact, most of the functionalities were not working at all. It was only in the second month that some of the functionalities were working, like ITR 1 was being filed, ITR 4 was being filed. But ITR 2, ITR 3, it took them almost 1.5 to 2 months to start the filing of these ITRs. So for say 1.5 months, most of the functionalities were not working at all. And even if they were working, they were too slow, or the portal was giving some unexpected errors. As a result of which, a lot of taxpayers were facing a lot of issues. And now, sadly, what happened was, if the tax is not paid, government charges interest.
Right.
So a lot of people are being forced to pay interest for late filing or for delayed payment of self-assessment tax for no fault of theirs.
Right.
In fact, now they've started levying a new penalty under Section 234F. So 234F is a section which gets applicable only when the filing is done after the due date. In this case, they are doing it before the due date. The due date now is 30th September. People are filing it before the due date, but they are levying the penalty. So there are a lot of issues on the income tax portal, and taxpayers, they are unnecessarily being forced to pay interest and penalties. This penalty that I'm talking about under Section 234F, which is of say 5,000 rupees, we are expecting that would get resolved. That's a technical glitch. So we are expecting that in the next 10 odd days, it should get resolved. However, the levy of interest, that may not be accepted by the income tax department, and a lot of people may have to pay additional interest on the tax payable for no fault of theirs.
Right. So, staying with the penalty that the income tax department has started levying from August 1st, because this is happening because July 31st is the original due date. It's a regular due date every year. And this time, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was extended to September 30th, but perhaps the requisite changes have not been made in the software, right?
Right.
Is that the reason why this penalty is coming into play at the moment?
Yes. So the law says that if the return is filed after the due date but before 31st December, there's a penalty of 5,000 rupees. So normally the due date is 31st July only. So normally this penalty would have been levied. But because this time the due date was extended, this penalty is not legally applicable at all.
Right. And the extension has not been factored into the new portal.
Yes. I'm not sure why these issues are being faced, because ideally when such a big portal like this is launched, there is proper beta testing, and so that the end user does not face these issues. I'm not sure what is the depth of this beta testing that is happening.
Okay. So any response that you've received from the Income Tax Department, the Finance Ministry and Infosys, or anything that you have heard from the Finance Ministry and the Income Tax Department, not only related to this particular penalty, but overall regarding the glitches that the portal is facing?
Yes. So on 22nd of June, there was a meeting between the Finance Ministry and Infosys, wherein they told Infosys to get this done, get this sorted. Even after that, they have been saying that this will get sorted. The Finance Ministry has urged Infosys to sort this out on priority. Even Infosys has given statements that they're working expeditiously on this and trying to solve this on priority. However, it is still too slow.
And you mentioned that you expect this particular issue, that is penalty under Section 234, to be resolved in a few days. Any
Yes.
specific communication that you have received from the department so far?
No, there is no specific communication on this, but this looks like a technical glitch only, which should ideally be resolved very
In the
soon.
short term. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, now coming to the return filers' perspective and their approach, in light of these glitches, what approach should they adopt? And how long should they wait before making an attempt to file returns again?
So we are advising our clients to wait, not to rush on, because right now there are a lot of glitches. Although the income tax department has been saying that it has been resolved, Infosys says it has been resolved, but every second day we are facing a new issue. So in this case, we would advise everyone not to be the first one, not to rush on. Wait for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, see how the portal is behaving, and then only go ahead and file. So maybe if somebody can wait, say, another 2-3 weeks, by 2-3 weeks, we are expecting somewhere around 15th, 20th August. Maybe they can review the situation on 15th or 20th of August and then start filing. So even if they start filing that time, by 30th September, they have 1.5 months. So ideally, these issues, we are expecting that these will get resolved, and that would be the best time to file. At that time, there would not be so much pressure like there would be in the last week of September, and we are expecting a lot of issues would be resolved. So somebody can review the situation by 15th or 20th of August.
So these glitches are in fact being faced because the new portal has been launched. So hopefully it's a one-time affair. But otherwise, under regular circumstances, why should taxpayers file their returns on time? Could you highlight the importance of filing returns before the due date?
See, there are several benefits. Number one, if you file after the due date, a penalty gets levied. So if it is filed after the due date but before 31st December, the penalty is 5,000 rupees. And if it is after 31st December and before 31st March, the penalty is 10,000 rupees. So number one is that penalty gets levied for delayed filing, and this is, I'm talking about if the income is more than 5 lakh rupees. If the income is less than 5 lakh rupees, then the penalty is 1,000 rupees. So the first benefit of filing it before the due date is that penalty is not levied. The second benefit is that if we are filing a belated return, that is after the due date, then there are certain prohibitions that we cannot carry forward the loss under head house property, or we cannot carry forward the loss under capital gains. So this benefit of carry forward gets lost if we are filing it after the due date. That is the second disadvantage of filing after the due date. And the third one is that if there's a refund that is due to a taxpayer, then the income tax department pays 6% interest per annum. However, if the return is filed after the due date, then the person or the taxpayer may lose out on a part of the interest that he was eligible. So this is the third benefit. The fourth is that now under the new tax laws, they've also introduced the provisions of double TDS, that if the return has not been filed before the due date, then in some cases double TDS rates are applicable. So in this case, the double TDS rates may also get applicable if they are filing it after the due date.
So what are these cases? Under what circumstances will double TDS be applicable?
So it says if the TDS deducted is more than 50,000 rupees and the returns have not been filed for the past 2 years, then the rate of TDS gets doubled. So for example, if the earlier rate of TDS was 10%, now the rate will get doubled to 20%. This is something that has been made applicable very recently.
Applicable from this assessment year, 2021-22.
Yes.
And apart from the monetary laws and the penalties that could come into play, also if taxpayers push this exercise to the last minute, they could also face other glitches that people face every year, right?
Yes. So in the last week before the due date, the portal normally faces a lot of issues because of excess traffic. So a lot of people are not able to log in. Sometimes if they're able to log in, the data gets lost. There are a lot of technical issues which we are used to, that in the last week, these issues will come, and they come every year. So it is advisable not to wait till the last minute and file the returns before time.
And finally, before taxpayers start filing their returns, what do they need to do to make sure that the process is simpler at their end?
Yes, so the first thing that they should do is they should download the Form 26AS and see that the TDS is being properly reflected. In a lot of cases, the Form 26AS, the TDS is not properly reflected.
Okay.
There's some mismatch, a number mismatch, a clerical error, as a result of which people are facing issues. So first thing is that they should verify that. Even if you're not filing it, just verify it so that, because these things, the correction of these things takes time. Second is you should take an interest statement from your bank as to what is the interest that they've paid and keep that handy so that when you start filing, they should be with you. A lot of people start filing and then they realize they need these documents or these are not in order. So these are the two most important things which is applicable to everyone. That one is verifying the TDS, second is the interest certificates.
Okay. And in case they realize that there is a mismatch, then what are the steps that they need to take to rectify these errors?
They should approach the person who's paid the income and the TDS.
That would be the employers, banks, and
yes,
and so on. Okay.
Yes, and request them to revise the TDS returns and get this rectified. So this can be revised, it can be rectified. However, it takes time. So if prior intimation is given to the other person, then this can be done and the ITR can be filed on time.
Okay. And could you also elaborate on the process that somebody who's filing a belated return needs to follow? And what are the rules that she needs to know?
If somebody is filing the belated return, the process is the same. It's only that the return, in case of a belated return, is filed under section 139(4) instead of 139(1). Rest, everything remains the same. It's only the section under which it is being filed changes. Just one thing, a lot of people actually do this mistake, and last time a lot of people faced this. They don't disclose the interest which is being shown in the Form 26AS.
That is, you're talking about the fixed deposit interest.
Yes.
They miss doing that. Okay.
Yes. And if they have unlisted shares, they have to report it. A lot of people nowadays are making investments in startups but not disclosing it. Or if their employer has given them ESOPs, they have to disclose the shares which they hold.
Right. All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for being on our show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
With that, it is a wrap of this episode of Simply Save. For more news, views and updates, do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com.